The task of the leader is to get his people from where they are to where they have not been. There cannot be a crisis next week. My schedule is already full. I don't see why we need to stand by and watch the country go communist due to the irresponsibility of its people. The issues are much too important for the Chilean voters to be left to decide for themselves. If you don't know where you are going, every road will get you nowhere. Whatever must happen ultimately should happen immediately. 90% of the politicians give the other 10% a bad reputation. Power is the great aphrodisiac. Accept everything about yourself. I mean everything. You are you, and that is the beginning and the end. No apologies, no regrets. The conventional army loses if it does not win. The guerrilla wins if he does not lose. The illegal we do immediately. The unconstitutional takes a little longer. The absence of alternatives clears the mind marvelously. No foreign policy, no matter how ingenious, has any chance of success if it is born in the minds of a few and carried in the hearts of none. University politics are vicious precisely because the stakes are so small. Each success only buys an admission ticket to a more difficult problem. Diplomacy, the art of restraining power. Art is man's expression of his joy in labor. The nice thing about being a celebrity is that, if you bore people, they think it's their fault. Even a paranoid can have enemies. Moderation is a virtue only in those who are thought to have an alternative. You can't make war in the Middle East without Egypt, and you can't make peace without Syria. The American foreign policy trauma of the 60s and 70s was caused by applying valid principles to unsuitable conditions. If it's going to come out eventually, better have it come out immediately. While we should never give up our principles, we must also realize that we cannot maintain our principles unless we survive. High office teaches decision-making, not substance. It consumes intellectual capital, it does not create it. Most high officials leave office with the perceptions and insights with which they entered. They learn how to make decisions but not what decisions to make. To be absolutely certain about something, one must know everything or nothing about it. America has fought 5 wars since 1945 and has gained its objectives in only one of them, the Gulf War. The high probability is if American forces withdraw from Afghanistan and if no alternative international arrangement is made, that then the historic contests between the regions and the sects will reappear. The Taliban will re-emerge, and a very complicated and maybe chaotic situation will develop. People are generally amazed that I would take an interest in any forum that would require me to stop talking for 3 hours. The Vietnam War required us to emphasize the national interest rather than abstract principles. What President Nixon and I tried to do was unnatural. And that is why we didn't make it. It is, after all, the responsibility of the expert to operate the familiar and that of the leader to transcend it. The superpowers often behave like two heavily armed blind men feeling their way around a room, each believing himself in mortal peril from the other, whom he assumes to have perfect vision. The essence of Richard Nixon is loneliness. The leader does not deserve the name unless he is willing occasionally to stand alone. There is obviously a gap between the public's perception of a role of U.S. foreign policy and the elite's perception. Leaders are responsible not for running public opinion polls but for the consequences of their actions. Donald Trump is a phenomenon that foreign countries haven't seen. So it is a shocking experience to them that he came into office. We cannot always assure the future of our friends. We have a better chance of assuring our future if we remember who our friends are. The security of Israel is a moral imperative for all free peoples. We are all the President's men. Ronald Reagan and Bill Clinton both had exceptional natural abilities. Nelson Rockefeller was very good statewide but never gained national traction. Blessed are the people whose leaders can look destiny in the eye without flinching but also without attempting to play God. It was a Greek tragedy. Nixon was fulfilling his own nature. Once it started, it could not end otherwise. If 80% of your sales come from 20% of all of your items, just carry those 20%. We are moving toward a world that is reordering itself and that may appear more ordered at some periods of time. But I see no sign that we are moving toward the world order in my definition of it, namely, the system which is accepted, which is internalized by the majority of the key participants.